Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Did that just have like an echo into it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't notice it.
It just sounded a little different to me. Is anybody listening?
Oh my gosh, yeah. MacMay008 from Canada is listening.
Canadian.
In the words of my wise Aunt Teresa,
Whoa.
I cannot articulate at all why I like this, but I catch myself smiling away while listening.
Nice.
Thanks to you, I'm not the old man on speakerphone in the grocery store, just the young lady who might unexpectedly burst into laughter in the produce section. Please keep what you're doing.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Got a Mother Teresa quote in our reviews.
I wonder. For anyone who's joining us as a new listener, this is a podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and most often absolutely nothing.
Let's talk about last week.
Yes.
How...
Oh, you didn't like that?
Well, maybe not.
Oh, I have... Today feels like...
I was going to talk about your beauty. And that's why I was like, you're like, yes, let's talk about
I have
my
so much
beauty.
from this past week to talk about, but sure.
I was going to just say, last week, we put up clips on Instagram at Nobody's Listening, right? And for whatever reason, I mean, you had the glow going on or something. There were a lot of people commenting on how stunning you look.
That truly meant a lot to me, especially because last week we've had like a lot of social things happening.
Okay.
And I was feeling not great about myself.
Oh.
And so those comments, I mean, got me out that door.
Ah, they filled up your tank.
They filled up my tank.
Well, this is me here saying to anybody listening, if anybody's out there, it'd be nice if I got a comment like that from time to time.
You do. People comment on you. You know, there was a video a few weeks ago where people were saying you look a lot like, I forget. I think it was Jay Duplass, and I was like,
it was Mark Duplass, and you wished it was Jay Duplass.
No.
And then you were correcting people saying he's like a perfect mix between Mark and Jay.
But I think
Mark's all right, but Jay's hot. What if he was like both?
No, don't do that.
What?
I mean, they're like in our orbit. I feel like...
And you find Jay more attractive is what you're saying?
No.
Okay,
what I'm trying to say is just objectively, I find them both attractive.
Yeah. You do? You find the Duplass brothers attractive? I didn't know you thought they were so hot.
I do. Okay. I think
you can't win here.
I do think if someone out there is capable of doing this, of doing some sort of AI like Jay and Mark Duplass mix combo face, I feel like something very similar to you would pop out.
Totally in my wheelhouse. I can probably do that. But it's just to say, I like those comments too. Did you know, so I've mentioned before, my brother and two of my best friends, BDT and Josh, we play Rocket League.
Big Dick Travis.
Yep.
He doesn't love that moniker now that he's an adult.
I think BDT, we can leave it at BDT now, you know. The OG listeners know. So on Rocket League night, we're on Zoom, we're playing this dumb video game. I tried to instate a Handsomest of the Night award for who was the handsomest of the night. And it's like, Josh always gets it.
Well, Josh was a model.
Yeah, and he's attractive. I get it. He's very handsome.
He's got that like Euro, you know, and I do want to say, just for our listeners. I don't even think
it's Euro. I think he's pretty classic American, tall, handsome too.
Yeah, but he has a very unique handsomeness. And I do want to say this for the record. When we were kids, it was kind of well known. I had a big crush on you. Your best friend was Josh.
Yeah.
He had a big crush on me.
True.
And then, you know, you and I reunite in New York. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I find out Josh was over in Europe,
Modeling.
A runway model.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Josh?
You could say that Josh really blossomed.
Because, when we were kids, he was always adorable. You both were.
Yeah.
You both were kind of like pipsqueaks.
Well, we were both, if I dare say, him a little bit more than me. I'd say I was probably more cute, but he was beautiful as a young...
Small and mighty.
We were both small and mighty, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so Josh But I just want to say, I feel like being the person who is foisting the handsomest.
I know.
Let's play the handsomest award.
I don't
tonight,
ever get it. They won't ever give it to me.
Because you're too thirsty. Because you're obviously doing that because you want it.
I know I'm doing that right now. That's what I'm doing right now.
You're so
I know.
thirsty.
I'm self-aware. So I have won handsomest of the night, but only when I give it to myself.
Then you didn't win it.
I won.
No.
But I had to give it to myself, sort of.
I will give you the handsomest award every single day of our live long lives.
And also, though, but shout out BDT, Uncle Matt and Josh. Every time you have won it, you really did deserve it. I want to say that. People are glowing on days, Some days people are glowing, especially on that Zoom,
I really think it has a lot to do with hormones.
You work a lot on Zoom. You could never do that in a workplace. Like, hey, every day at the end of the day, let's vote on who was the most attractive.
No, I mean, that's an HR nightmare. Zoom is very forgiving though. I, like when we do our live streams on patreon.com/nobody's listening, right?
Yeah.
I'm always kind of a little like, whoa, I look very different on whatever this, platform is that we're using that's not Zoom.
Yeah. A video
So the
camera.
other day, I took part for my job on A Million Little Things in this awesome program that Disney does where it's like their diversity initiative. And so it's up and coming writers and directors.
Yeah.
And so myself and our show creator, DJ Nash, and our showrunner, Terry Coley, all were on there and kind of chatting with the candidates. I mean, by the way, I came out of it and I said to you, thank God I got my start in this business when I did, because every single person on that Zoom is so qualified, is so charismatic, has such interesting stories. I was like, I would be...
No longer can you just coast on your good looks, is what you're saying.
And also all very attractive. No, but I thought the call was at 11.
Yeah.
And thank God, Terry, he probably sensed it, texted me like 2 minutes before it, like something like, excited to see you or whatever. And I was like, why is he texting this an hour and a half before?
Yeah.
I was in the middle of walking around the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I had not put a stitch of makeup on. I had not even run so much as my fingers through my hair. I was literally wearing basically my same pajamas, except I had swapped out my pants and threw a hoodie on. Like, I looked like shit.
Yeah.
And it was
horrible.
Like, oh my God. And it was starting right then. Horrible. And I like pulled over to the side and I sat in an area where I was like, okay, this background will
You were in the car or
suffice.
outside?
I was outside walking. I was on a walk. And I even was like, I started to run back to my car, which was laughable because it's the first time I've run in 3 years. And I was like, it's going to take me 15 minutes just to run back to my car.
So you got to just stay where you're at.
So I stayed where I was at. And it's like this whole thing. All of the candidates introduce themselves. We have like Q&As. We all tell our stories. Like it was an hour and a half.
How many people on the on your side of the table, if you will, of the panel? Do you know
3.
what I mean? Okay, and then the rest were
the candidates and the people who run the program.
Okay. How many people that run the program though?
2.
Okay.
And there were probably like 15 members of this initiative.
20 to 30 person Zoom though here.
Yeah. But I will say, when I got on the Zoom, I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. It's so unprofessional. I'm like out in the middle of the wilderness, not even, their cars driving literally 2 feet in front of me, driving by me. There are people walking. And I do have a funny little thing that happened. But on Zoom, God bless Zoom, you can like put the video filters on to make your appearance better.
Yeah.
And I cranked that puppy up to 1,000.
Plus, you got that natural light cooking for you, too.
The natural light was helpful at first, but then it was a stormy day. It even started drizzling at one point.
Wow.
It was such a heart-pounding experience. And by the end of it, I mean, Terry and DJ did call out at the end because I started walking back to my car. Also, my phone was dying.
Oh my
And they were like, is anyone worried that the cloud behind Elizabeth is going to suck her up? Because
did you acknowledge it at all during the panel?
I didn't acknowledge that I got the time wrong, but we did acknowledge that I was at the Rose Bowl. Like,
you're like, if I don't get my exercise in the morning in, I can't function, and I'm go, 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 go. Like, did you play it like that?
I didn't really speak to it, but I did say something like, I wouldn't recommend doing business meetings like where I am right now because like cars are driving by. So I also was holding my phone up. My arm was getting tight. Like I had to switch out arms. And so I'm holding the phone up in front of me. And there are a lot of times where I'm not talking, but I'm smiling and looking engaged. And at one point, so I'm facing the street. So I'm on the outside. Okay.
This is going to be so boring for our listeners, but of the Rose Bowl, were you on the east or the west side of the Rose Bowl?
I was on the west side.
Like by the golf course restaurant side? That side?
No.
The west side. Yeah. I'm right. God, I'm so stupid. But okay,
you're not. Don't say that about my handsome husband. Okay, so I was on the west side. I crossed the street so that the scene behind me was just like
the trees
foresty.
And that. Yeah, and there's like paths there.
Yeah, so my camera is facing the street, and then, or my camera's facing me, but the back of my phone is facing the street, and then the path around the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, two older gentlemen were both walking kind of in the same spot. One on the Rose Bowl path, one right in front of me, and they both stopped as though I was filming something
and
stopped for a while. And then I was like, and then it was just a.
Were your bosses disappointed at all, or did they think it was funny? Leave a message in the comments, guys.
Please let us know. Well, I said to Terry, I was like, look, and I should have said to DJ, if you ever hire me again, like I promise my brain cells will come back online because this has been one of a few situations like this. And I think like once I kind of wrapped things up on my end, I've just like, I have felt, I mean, you know, I've been playing a lot of Tetris. I have felt like my brain cells are really out to lunch, but I need to, I'm whipping them back in shape right now because I'm trying to get this outline into American Broadcasting Corporation.
Just to be clear, you know, we talked about your Tetris thing a couple weeks ago, and you are still playing a lot of Tetris. Just if listeners were curious.
Yeah.
You're on expert mode.
I'm on the last step on expert mode.
You are within inches, some might say, of beating journey mode on expert.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that will be a big accomplishment, I'm saying.
I got to this place in Zelda, and I feel this now. I'm ready to be done. But I do need to finish.
You have to do that.
Oh, of course I'm going to. Okay. But I am ready to be done. Okay. I feel like we have a few admin things to talk about. There was a comment that someone was like, I feel like you just stopped talking about the note. And we do have a note on the car update for people just tuning in. Andy found a very aggressive written note on his windshield where he parked that said, park in front of your house, and your was underlined. And it has been perplexing because we're pretty on good terms with all of our neighbors. We were unaware it was a problem. Parking around our place is not that, it's not that tricky. And so and there are reasons we don't park in front of our house because it blocks someone else's access to their driveway. So anyway, we've kind of narrowed it down, and you and I had gotten off the idea that it was Rage Guy.
Yeah.
However, and I will say a lot of our nobodies and somebodies out there wrote in and said, it's Rage Guy. It's got to be Rage Guy.
Yeah.
You eliminated, it's our sweet elderly across the street neighbors.
Love that guy.
We've eliminated, it's our next door neighbors.
Love that guy.
And so we basically were like, either someone's lying, someone's relative did this and they don't know about it, someone's covering for someone. And the idea that it would be Rage Guy is so ludicrous because where this note was left is somewhere he parks, which is also not in front of his house.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we had some friends over. Now they live in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Not super close to us, but like their kids.
No, but they're
our
in the
kids are
neighborhood.
friends. They walk their kids to school. So they came over, and Andy told the story. And our friend,
I showed them the note.
Of course, Andy has the note within arm's reach at all times.
Yeah.
The note is unhinged. I'm not going to lie. Like getting eyes back on it, I'm like, this, and the neighbor.
It's funny. I don't interpret it as unhinged, I think, as you.
Well, I didn't until the neighbor so the neighbor has worked on many like crime dramas and
yes.
has worked with a lot of detectives and kind of fancies himself an amateur detective.
I like it.
And he's looking at this note. He noticed that on the back there's something written. He's like, a clue.
Yeah.
But this note it's almost like different people wrote the different words. Like one's sharp and aggressive, one's like scripty.
It's stylized. Was the big takeaway that he pointed out to us, which all roads lead back to Rage Guy. It would make so much sense.
He pointed out. Now, what was very interesting to me is when we said Rage Guy.
Yeah.
He knew exactly
yes,
who we were talking about. When
he's
not even, they're not over here. Like
they walk by here.
They walk by here, but they've walked by here enough to hear yelling.
They know
and
Rage Guy.
Rage Guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So Rage Guy has some Black Lives Matter signs up.
Okay.
And they're artistic. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
defund the police signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, no, you couldn't look at this and then look at that. When I walked by that house, it's him. Now, I have an update.
What?
Yeah. Now, you forbade me from ever engaging regarding this with anyone. Yes, you did. You said you were not.
Oh, yeah, I did, because I didn't want you to get in the crosshairs of some sort of brawl, I guess.
Yeah. And you were like, you were not to bring this up. Mm-hmm. And so, and I really want you to bring it up to him and go, hey, have you ever gotten a note on your car here?
Yeah.
And just see how he reacts. But,
yeah.
So since the note was left, then there was like a month or 2 months long period. Then we went to our neighbor's barbecue where you were chatting the guy up. I was chatting the guy up because we were trying to get in good with him so we could then get the info.
Yep.
Didn't do it there, which I think was wise. We didn't ask the question. Have you had a note on your car? Did you leave this note on the car? But the other day, I was getting the kids into my car, which was parked right in front of his car on that section of whatever, as he was getting out of his car.
Brilliant.
And I'm getting the kids in.
Yeah.
And I, smile and wave. Now we're friendly post-barbecue.
Yeah.
And he is as friendly as a human being could be. Oh. Happy, snappy, very, very like chatty, friendly. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Like talking about the weather.
Yeah.
Goes into his house and I think, here's where I've landed.
Okay.
I think it is Rage Guy.
Me too.
And I think he regrets it.
Oh, interesting.
I think now that we're buds.
I will say this, the signs on the house, and we can never show these signs because that would be a violation of this person's privacy. But they are
so many reasons.
But they are very stylized in a way that
very artistic. I mean, great artistic work
that makes it so compelling as a key suspect in our thing.
Yeah.
It is not a closed case by these signs.
No.
But it is so likely. And also now, every time I walk by his car, I'm snooping with my eyeballs in his car to see if there's any sort of hint written thing.
Oh.
And I feel like I'm really close to landing on that because, like my car, if you look on the shotgun of my car, there's all sorts of dumb notes and stuff. I keep not the most tidy car. But, it's going to happen. Like, there's going to be the day where I see the smoking gun.
Oh, wow.
I feel it coming. And
can I say something?
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to Eckhart Tolle this morning, which always puts me in a great headspace. My heart goes out to that person. Like, we have seen, and to see him so friendly, I'm like, that guy lives with a lot of anger and has to temper it and navigate life with that lens. And that cannot be easy. I mean, I feel that, I think, again, going back to hormones, hormonally, like twice a month. And at least now I can almost always recognize it. Sometimes I don't. And it's after the fact. I'm like, oh, that was what was going on. But related to my menses, I will feel this rage that does not match. And I'm like, I want to, I mean, what I could do physically during those moments is alarming.
Yeah.
I want to tear shit apart and like, I want to.
Oh, I didn't know you were so angry.
But just for like an hour.
Okay.
But it takes over. It's like this. I mean, and I think about this with like men and how, horny men are all the time and how like once you get to a certain place with it and it just takes over, it's all you can do or think about or whatever. I don't really connect to that as much, but this guy's dealing with a lot. And so, I don't ever want him to know that we know unless he tells us outright. And you guys have a good laugh about it.
I can't. I'm going to have to find out it's him for sure. And we'll probably do that through him.
I don't want to be, someone like that, I think then needs like a target. And I think maybe we were that until we
diffuse that.
I don't want to become a target. I feel like what I would like for you to do is someday go, if you have a situation I was in, like you're literally seeing him right there. Hey, have you ever got a note on your car here? See how he reacts. If he says yes, be like, oh, okay, I was just confused.
And then show him my note. I always have it in my pocket.
No. Don't show him. Just, no. Like, you can't do anything beyond that.
Okay.
And if he cops to it, I want you to make it okay. I don't want it to be like, well, that was... Why the fuck did you do that? You're not even parking in it. I want you to go like, oh, okay. I'm sorry if sometimes I'm like not parking up to the edge or whatever, but like we just can't park in front of our place.
I think it's very big of you and I'm proud of you. It's very Eckhart Tolle of you. Where I'm at in my life right now, though, is more of this social justice, this isn't right kind of phase. And I get energized by correcting people now. Like the Target guy.
That's not good. And Andy, by the way...
I'm speaking up for myself.
I know, but can I say something?
Everybody walks through this world not saying because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody. They're afraid...
Oh, gross. You sound like Tucker Carlson right now.
No, I'm not talking about in that way. I'm talking about the little things in life, right? I'm talking about don't be talking on speakerphone in Target.
Okay, well, I have some...
Don't park like an asshole.
I have some news for you. You park like an asshole sometimes.
And so tell me.
Well, I do, but I'm also like a little scared too because you do not like being told. So this is what I'm saying. You're being a bit of a hypocrite. You really don't like, and you make mistakes and you're just not thinking about it. Like I did tell you recently, hey, when you're parking over there, can you pull up? Because you're parking basically so that you're leaving just not enough room for a spot in front of you. But it's not like, so I'm saying you shouldn't live your life where you're looking at everyone else to point out what they're doing when you're doing it. You don't get to do that.
But maybe I do, is what I'm saying.
No, but it is important to me that we live in harmony with our neighbors.
No, of course.
I don't want to have any, I almost want you to just drop it completely and you can look at his shotgun and see if there are notepads and close the case quietly on your own and just know that.
Okay.
But I just don't want there to be any, I just want to live in harmony.
Okay. Let's pivot adjacent here.
Okay.
Something that happened yesterday that's very relevant to this. I took our son to a kid's birthday party. You took our daughter to a kid's birthday party. Mm-hmm. Both parties had piñatas. Piñatas. And this was the most stressful piñata situation I've ever been to.
We had what could have been stressful, but ultimately wasn't.
Now, so the scene is we're at a park. Great. Someone ropes the piñata up on a tree. Great. The person manning the piñata, holding the rope and, pulley
Going
system
up and
kind of up and down, is not a relative, is just another dad at the party. And I can tell this guy doesn't want to do it. He was being helpful, I think, like setting up. Mm-hmm. And at one point I even witnessed him being like, hey, to the dad of the birthday kid, like, do you want to do it? And that dad kind of brushed it off and was
that
like,
dad is,
be careful.
Okay. Carry on. By the way, this is why you outed us. I did not want anyone at our kids' school to know that we do podcasts or podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to be able to speak freely.
Oh, no. But who I outed us to, I would tell them in this story who the dad was. It's just I'm worried that dad listens to this show.
I know, but I just don't want
anybody to know. I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
Okay,
let me
go
keep
ahead.
going. Anyways. Okay. So, from the jump, they're lining the kids up. Mm-hmm. And the beginning of the line is like 2 feet from the piñata, right? Which is not going to make sense because once that first kid starts swinging, they're going to hit like 8 kids.
Right.
So there's some half-hearted attempts by some people to get the kids to move back. No kids listening. Nothing doing that. That's one of 2 times that I step in where I'm just like, this is crazy. So I get in, arms out. Everybody, 10 steps back. Oh yeah, like pushing the waves.
Oh my God.
Back. Okay, but this is after.
And what are the parents of the birthday kid doing at this point?
Not commanding the situation, and it needs to be the parents of the birthday situation, and or a relative or uncle to take care of the piñata thing, right? There's the helpful guy that's on the rope, not his job to clear the kids.
What are the parents doing?
I don't want to get too much into the parents here.
Okay.
Not enough.
Okay.
They're not handling it. So at one point, I jump in and am like trying to get all the kids back. How I asked them to get back works this first time.
Good.
Now, they start going though, and it's just still mayhem. No one is manning the line, okay? And like making sure that kids aren't going to get hit in the face with the piñata stick.
Yeah.
And it is close call after close call. And I'm standing there just like, this is insane. But I've already done my one big thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm also thinking is a signal to other parents. But most importantly, the parents to be like,
hey,
let's do this. And there's other parents that now have to be like, watch out, Adler, watch out, so-and-so,
right.
Because their kids are getting.
Well, I'm kind of like, it's probably each man for their own now. And so are you like, I'm just watching Otis.
So exactly. At this point, I'm like, you know what? My kid's smart enough that he's not going to get hit by the piñata thing. So I'm just like, whatever, cool. I jump in one more time when it starts getting really crazy because now the first hint of like a couple pieces of candy dropping out, it's Lord of the Flies. Uh-huh. I've never seen kids so excited for like 2 pieces of candy.
Oh, God.
And it's like, a rugby.
Huddle.
And then so, we're all going in.
Pulling kids off of each other.
And then there's like a big reset. Mm-hmm. And I'm parting the sea once again and being loud and doing it. And then, so at this point, stuff's trickling out. Mm-hmm. But it's only a few pieces of candy, and every time, all the kids, and this whole time too, clear misses where kids are almost getting hit in the head. All parents are all getting stressed out. It is getting high alert.
Yeah.
So then finally, this mom who goes in because the pile of kids gets so big for not much candy, she looks over at the parents and she has her hand on the piñata and could rip it open. And is like,
can we end this?
And the parents say no. Not everybody's had a turn, right?
Okay.
And I love this mom. To her credit, she just sticks her hand in and unleashes the fun. After getting the no, she fucking ends it.
Oh my God.
Like a champ.
Oh my God.
And then all the candy rains down, and then it is chaos because the kids go bonkers. But I went to her later and was like, that was
oh my God.
the move.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it was so, but I was like, why isn't, and I took a little charge. I could have really taken over the whole thing, but I'm like, it's not my party. And like,
yeah.
But it was so stressful.
I'm so glad I wasn't there. I can't handle that shit.
You would have been freaking out.
You know, we were talking about the skateboard park, and you're talking about that kid who you realize, like, oh, he's going to the Olympics because his dad is so whatever. You also then off the mics were telling me, so when we were looking at like preschools for our kids, there was one preschool that we were like seriously interested in.
Yeah.
That seems like very free range, like fun, you know, a little scrappy. It had chickens. We're like, oh, this is cool. But you and I both, like, we toured that place multiple times because there was something that you and I were like,
I was especially unnerved. Yeah.
There was something about the staff that was a little bit like,
Yeah.
And we ultimately chose great preschools for our kids, and they had a wonderful experience. But you pointed, so at the skate park, there are like two kind of cohorts, and they're the parents from our kids' school, which is, you know, great public, you know, normal school.
Yeah.
And then it's like the parents from that school, where like every kid's name is like Everest, Dandelion, and there's an energy to those parents, and then by virtue of those parents, those kids, that I have a very hard time with. And I struggle with this because I don't want to be a helicopter parent.
Yeah.
I want my kids to get hurt, make mistakes, you know, learn from them, dust themselves off. But these parents and kids, it almost feels like they are living on the edge at all times. And there's this chaotic, like, unhinged energy that I hate being around. And especially in a situation like the skate park. You're saying, you know, this is a busy skate park. There are like semi-pro skaters there. It's a serious place.
Yeah.
And these little shitheads, now, granted, I don't think any kids are shitheads. I think that they are the product of whatever, but are like, for fun, just throwing their skateboards into the bowl without riding them.
Which is like a big
It's
no-no.
such a dangerous, I mean, it's such a great way to get someone to, and we have had skateboarding accidents that took us to the hospital.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and we do all the precautions, helmets, pads, everything. So I'm already like so on edge about.
Yeah.
And those parents aren't even barely looking at their kids. They're not going, hey, maybe stop throwing your skateboard into the bowl where people are dropping in and skating.
Yeah, like there's
just to be a shithead.
There's like a kid in this class that like launches his skateboard up the ramp and out at least like 3 times every time. And I'm like, if our kids did that once,
we're out of there.
Or not even out of there, it would just be like, and not even a big deal as a parent of like, hey, you can't do that. It would just be like, hey, Bud, you can't do that. That's how people get hurt. It's unsafe. End of discussion.
Right. And they listen.
It wouldn't happen again.
It wouldn't happen again.
These kids are launching. Anyways, but.
So here I am saying you can't be all self-ignitant, but that stuff does make me feel very like, I can't handle this and I can't be around it. And, but I'm also like, all those kids are alive. Like they're, I don't know.
Yeah. I think in some ways we are probably
overprotective.
Yeah, overprotective and in a bit of a disservice to our kids in some ways, right? Of like they are pretty timid about things, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to a mom yesterday at the party about when I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, both my parents worked. And so unless I was like crazy sick, it was like, all right, you're staying home today. Here's the TV. I'll come check on you at lunch.
Right.
I was alone. And we were also talking about how we both walked home from school. When I was in first grade, second grade, I walked home from school. I crossed a street way busier than the busy street we're worried about.
Yeah.
And I was, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, honestly, yeah, but it's also like things are different. We didn't wear helmets. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it's safer to be a kid now than we were little. I think also it's just because we hear about everything in a way we didn't before. But I think I've told you this, like my sister and I walked to school every day in Northern California. And there was a kidnapping that ended in like, it was a kidnapping murder.
Yeah.
Like a town over from us.
Yeah.
I forget her name. I think it was Polly something. And all the kids stopped walking to school.
Right.
Except the lame sisters.
Right.
We were the only, then it was like, we're sitting ducks, like come abduct us. But yeah, so I agree in some ways, but in other ways I'm like, I don't know. I do like Emily Henderson, the designer,
Yeah.
I follow her on Instagram, and she wrote about like how she believes that every time her kid gets hurt physically, that doesn't end in a trip to the hospital is a win. And I'm like, that's a nice way of looking at things. But I'm still like, I don't know. I'm so paranoid. I mean, even like when we have in our tiny living room, the doors open to our little cabinet there, I'm like, there's sharp corners sticking out where people are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can ever shake that. Yeah. But anyway, okay. Let's move on to
Love it.
Last week, you and I keep looking over there just because it's mesmerizing, not because I'm worried about anything. Mm-hmm. You and I last week were, and for our listeners, the audio track that's recording is what's mesmerizing to me.
We keep a movie on during these, so we get
risky
bored, we
business.
Can watch.
Wow, the film choices. So we went to a party for a huge, very successful producer.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was fun
and weird,
and so it was like a music industry party. I mean, we were literally front row, inches away from Green Day playing.
Yeah.
It was really wild.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Death by Romy, who played and was amazing. And that's an artist that you work with frequently.
Yeah, she killed it. The whole night, all the bands were just doing covers.
Yeah.
Which Romy did Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana. And I mean, really crushed it.
But
can I do one quick sidetrack before you get into this? Mm-hmm. I had this thought about Green Day. We're inches away from Billy Joe. Mm-hmm. And he's like a very particular looking guy.
Yeah, he is.
And so cool. But I remember when living in New York, I remember a friend's mom being like, all celebrities have like big kind of animated faces.
Oh, faces.
And Billy Joe, like he walks out and you're like, oh my God, you're almost not human. Like he has kind of a big animated face.
Well, especially in comparison to their bodies. I mean, they say that, which is,
like, what is that about?
One of our kids has this in a way. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's about, but I do. I remember in New York sitting in a booth and I was having lunch with Ellie Kemper.
Yeah.
And this is before any fame or notoriety or whatever. And the server came over and she said, I just have to tell you to Ellie, like you have the most expressive face. And we laughed about it at the time because it was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a weird compliment, I guess.
Yeah.
But she has that thing where it's like, it's interesting. I don't know what that is, but it is he totally has that.
Yeah, it's like, it is like movie face or famous person head size / face.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but that was my one weird takeaway where I was like, oh, Billy Joe, I love this guy.
Yeah.
I've loved this guy forever. And like, wow, you've got that head thing.
He really doesn't change. I mean, he looked younger than I thought he would. I was like, oh, we're going to see this guy from Green Day come out here. And he didn't look to me to be...
They're doing great.
So anyway, and he seemed like a really great guy too.
Very cool, yeah.
Chatting in between. So this was at like a music venue that had all these like rooms connected and it's very cool in LA, I guess. This is where I'm like, the music industry is so weird to me. And I had a big week. The night before, I was at another birthday party of a very awesome, and I feel like I shouldn't say who it is, but
more in the comedy world,
famous comedian.
Yeah.
And that party was wild to me because I haven't been out to party. I mean, I've gone to parties that are like our friends and stuff, but when I walked into that party, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like every person who walked by me, it was like, there's you.
Yeah.
But everyone was so cool and warm and friendly. And I had and also like a bunch of my close friends were there. I had so much fun and it did not, even though it felt like every other person there was a recognizable celebrity, there was no like, oh, who's here and who's what.
Yeah.
At this music party, every single person who's there, it felt like was like looking around to be like, who's that person and how important am I and how cool do I look right now? And, there was a DJ playing in between music sets. And so a smattering of people, I mean, truly like 4 people would be like dancing in between. Yeah. I love to dance to a DJ. And so we were dancing and having fun. And there were multiple times that I would kind of dance over to other groups because I think, dance is like a great unifier.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, well, surely this will kind of drop the pretension from everyone. Like we're all moving our bodies in space and time. I got fucking noped at every turn, and it became where I was like, I'm gonna crack these people. Nope. No one. I'm like sharing smiles with people, going to dance over to them, getting nothing. Yeah. Everyone's dancing. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And isn't music, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're here to enjoy music and to celebrate someone who's contributed a lot of great music to our culture. Like, music and art should be things that drop everyone's egos down a few notches and be like, we're just here to enjoy music. But I'm looking around while the bands are playing, and it's like everyone is self-conscious about how they seem to be instead of really like losing themselves in what the music's doing to them. And it just made me realize, I think Hollywood gets a bad rap, but like the party I was at versus this music industry thing.
Yeah.
The music industry is fucking weird to me.
I agree with you completely. I don't think you can make that blanket statement about like every music industry party, but I do think most of them for sure. Mm-hmm. And I also think that in Hollywood, I'm sure there's this similar type of party.
Do you think?
In some ways, yes. But I do think I remember when we first moved here, a buddy of mine took me to, I want to say it was like a Phantom Planet show at the Fonda or something. And we were in the VIP area, like up on the roof or something. And I can remember having just gotten to LA from New York and being so excited to be in LA.
Yeah.
And I can remember it being such a similar vibe. And I remember like my friend, introducing me to different people he knew, and them like not even looking at me, looking around to see who else there was to talk about, which is like a pretty big Hollywood cliche. But yeah, like it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think you're super on to something. And I've never felt comfortable at those kind of parties. And like the whole, like, you know, like all the holiday parties, like when I used to be published at Universal, going to those, I would have so much anxiety because I hated going to those parties.
I understand why, because you almost have to make, I mean, and I was talking about last week how all those comments really helped me out, because it's hard not to sink into that and be like, oh shit. But I almost had to make the call and be like, I have nothing to fucking lose here. I don't know any of these people. I want to enjoy myself. And like, it kind of made me sad, because I'm like, these are the people who are creating the art that's supposed to be like connect with people. Now, speaking of Billy Joe, like he seemed like he was having a good time and wouldn't have any problem having me come up and dance and smile and like be a human being.
Yeah.
It was, so it's not necessarily the artists themselves, but
no.
It seemed like, I don't know, it was weird, and it left me just the stark contrast, also having gone out 2 nights in a row and having been out with all of these who are all so warm and friendly and laughing. And I guess it's also comedy. And I also feel really fortunate that I think I found like a pocket of entertainment where everyone's normal and like cool. And I don't think I've been to one of those Hollywood parties where everyone's like, oh, who's over there? I'm not going to talk to. I'm not making eye contact. I mean, that's happened a few times, and I automatically, I have like a list in my head of people who are like that. But anyway, just an interesting observation. But still, you and I had a great time.
Yeah.
You know, but it was sort of the thing where I had to like, I could have easily had a not great time.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my God. Totally. I'm imagining if I went to that by myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
It was also a weird party because it was not a crew that I hang out with, like that I've hung out with a ton, but it was also weird because it was like, we were a weird age at that party. There were a lot of like executives that were much older than us.
And then there are all the youngsters.
The youngsters. We were like very much in the middle. And usually I see more people that I know in the middle.
Yeah.
And they weren't there.
I had an interesting experience. Speaking of the age difference.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was more our age.
Yeah.
And he was chatting it up with this like probably mid-20s blonde who, of course, all of these people look so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're kind of a cute couple, and they were laughing, but she was like a little standoffish, and so I was reading the energy like, okay, he's kind of flirting and trying to get to know this person, and she's like being nice but isn't interested.
Yeah.
And then this much older woman comes over and hands them both drinks, and I'm like, oh, this is her mom. And then the guy promptly, like they turn to face the stage, is almost like fingering her butt. Like his hand is on her ass.
The mom, though.
Yes. They're an item. And the mom is like in her mid-60s at least.
Okay.
And I was like, did not see that coming. It was just an interesting, age ain't no thing, I guess, you know.
Was the man in his 60s too?
No, the man was our age.
Okay, I'm sorry. Man was 40s, mom 60s, but getting her ass grabbed by 40s.
Yeah,
and then maybe daughter 20s.
It was just interesting. Then I was like, oh, he's trying to like warm up to the daughter because he's dating the mom in hindsight. And the daughter's like being polite, but also is like, I don't know about this 40-year-old who's dating my mom.
Yeah. And the mom wasn't like Cher or something?
No. But it was funny. It was just a real plot twist.
Wow.
Can we circle back to Tetris? Please? Now, several people, including our saint patron, Monica, have sent me the billboards and ads of the Tetris show that's coming out. I find it so wild. Yeah. I mean, very, very much feels like the simulation. Like, this is taking over my life again, and then here's this show.
What a gift.
Also, like, to have not heard anything about the show before, and usually I kind of know what's coming down the pipeline. Yeah. A little offended I wasn't asked to be a part of the show, even though Tetris has just recently re-entered my life. But, you know, I talk about, like, doing jigsaw puzzles, and obviously Tetris kind of scratches the same itch, but like on steroids.
Yeah.
And I find that doing puzzles is like one of the few times that I'm truly able to like check out.
Yeah.
Or it's almost meditative.
Yeah.
And it helps me, you know, to me, the whole point of meditation is like training your brain to kind of turn off or reroute so that when in real life you're like encountering stressful situations or whatever, you
block out the noise.
Right. So puzzles are kind of like that. Now Tetris has made me think a lot about, because, you know, we started out, and we don't need to get into numbers, but like when we've battled, I've gotten up to 155 lines and you've gotten up to 152.
Yeah. 151 maybe?
151. But when we started out, like if I got 30 lines, I was stoked.
Yeah.
And 155 seemed like a pipe dream.
Okay.
But
you play a game, you get better. Where are you going?
I'm going with how powerful it is, this idea of knowing that you can achieve something makes it so much easier to achieve it. And here's an example. I remember after I sold my first show, I was talking to Charlie Day. Yeah. And there's a lot of name dropping in this episode. I apologize. But and he was saying, and maybe it was after I had sold the episode and then it didn't move forward and I was bummed out. And he was like, now you know you can.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the next year I sold another one. Haven't sold one since. But like, there is so much power in knowing that you can do it, and it kind of unlocks this like, oh, holy shit, that's possible. And Tetris has been like that for me. And I think
it's funny because I don't think you can beat the game, though.
Yes, you can.
But I don't think you can. Do you know what I'm saying?
You're so...
Because you're on the last level. The last level in expert mode, you have to clear 90 lines.
Well, You've
gotten to 60, what? 9? I don't think you can get it across the thing.
I love this whole reverse psychology thing. You know, I thought I couldn't beat it in normal player mode, and sure enough, I did. So
now you're like, I beat it in normal mode.
Yeah.
So is what you're saying? Now I know I can beat it in expert mode. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I have no doubt I'm going to beat this game and see the credits roll. And
I have big doubts, but I'm.
But so then the reverse of this is kind of funny because, you know, you and I were watching, like, our family really loves this show right now, Family Reunion. Yeah. What's it on? Netflix. Very sweet show, especially for kids around our kids' age. Really funny. Like, the jokes are very funny, I think. A little Bible-y.
Little Bible-y.
A little Jesus-y, but, you know.
There's some corporal punishment in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a
something we need to shout from the rooftops.
But there are some funny jokes.
But we like it.
Yeah.
And in it, we found out that I'm spacing on the singer's name. The singer who sang.
Oh, Charlie Wilson?
Charlie Wilson.
Yeah.
Is Snoop Dogg's uncle.
Yeah.
And it has blown my mind.
It kind of fucked you up.
Because of what I'm talking about. I think that kids, like, you know, I grew up and I didn't know that what we do is even a possibility. It was like, you're going to be a doctor or an accountant or whatever.
You thought you could have been a doctor?
So, I feel like kids who grow up around this stuff.
Yeah.
Even just knowing like friends' parents who do things that might have seemed impossible for, you know, like becoming an actor or whatever.
Yeah.
To our kids, every time we watch anything, we're like, oh, that's my blah, 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 da, da, da.
Yeah, yeah.
to them, it seems like everyone could just become an actor. It's not anything. Whereas where we came from, it's like, it's an impossibility. And for me, it ultimately was an impossibility. But
what was an impossibility?
Becoming an actor, becoming a working actor.
Is this a long way of you saying that you hope our kids become Nepo babies?
Well, no, but the Nepo baby thing has legs, is what I'm saying. And it's not even necessarily like, oh, they're given this like opportunity. I mean, that's a huge part of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's even just the mindset of it's possible.
Yeah, sure.
It's huge. And my version of Snoop Dogg was always like, he grew up in the LBC. Mm-hmm. He, was, I think, a Crip at one point in time.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Keep going. I'm going to do a little in real time fact check for you because I just don't want you.
So anyway, I just didn't know he had this uncle who's like Grammy nominated, possibly has won Grammys. I don't know, but hugely successful musician. And then I find out that Snoop and Warren G are related in some way. So is Warren G also...
Wait, is it Snoop? Wait. It might be... hold on. I'm not sure if it's Warren G and Dre or Warren G and Snoop.
Okay. Well, anyway, it just changes my perspective on Snoop quite a bit.
I'm looking at Warren G cousin. Oh my God.
Okay, what?
Hold on. This is crazy because do you want to know? Warren G isn't Snoop Dogg's cousin, but Nate Dogg is Snoop's cousin.
Nate Dogg is Snoop Dogg. I guess that makes sense. I guess their dads both have the last name Dogg.
And Warren G.
Sorry. Of course they're related. They're both of the Dogg family.
It's the Dog Pound, by the way.
Oh.
Warren G is Dr. Dre's stepbrother.
What? Oh, Warren G. Okay.
Yeah. Dre and Warren G became stepbrothers when Dre's mom, what site am I on here? And Warren's dad married and brought the families together. It's actually through Warren G that Dre met Snoop and signed him, as Snoop originally worked with Warren G and Nate Dogg.
Wow.
Well, if that wasn't some sort of something.
Well, anyway, it just shifted my perspective a little bit.
I think, like, if I'm going to be real, I think
Lamar is an example of someone, right, who grew up in South Central.
Yeah.
I don't think had any familial, I mean...
So this is where you're going with this. This is like, you were disappointed to find out...
Yeah.
This is what the ending to your story is. You were disappointed to find out that Charlie Wilson was...
Snoop's uncle. Because, I think inherently we're always rooting for the underdog, Dog. And I'm like, I don't know. I love stories of people who... especially using art, came from a place where things were bleak and then spread their art that came from that place to other people and has affected people's lives. And that seems like it's just a different story to me.
Now this is getting weird.
Okay.
Because on the Wikipedia for Charlie Wilson, it says that rapper Snoop Dogg, with whom he is good friends, nicknamed him, in quotes, Uncle Charlie.
Oh,
Jesus. We really might have really stuck our foot in some hip-hop history.
I blame Family Reunion, the show on Netflix. Someone should have done...
I don't think they're related.
Well, that's fucked up.
And you know how Snoop Dogg is often calling people, he says nephew, as like friend?
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, now we have to walk back this whole goddamn thing. You know, Charlie Wilson was in that episode. Like, he could have corrected them. He read that script. He was at that table read.
Was he in the moment where they said, and he's his uncle?
No, but... No, he wasn't. So stupid.
This is the dumbest thing we've ever done. I'm frantically trying to get the details right, Googling as you just sputtered all of this bullshit. What we know is that Charlie Wilson might be his uncle, but probably isn't. We think Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg are cousins, and we're pretty sure Warren G is Dr. Dre's stepbrother.
Okay, but...
We don't know if anyone was a Crip.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
I'm going to take this version where they aren't blood related.
That helps you out. I understand.
That's
the story
me
you
out.
want.
I'm sticking to the original.
Yeah.
So this all was not for nothing. What a journey. Well, on that absolutely ludicrous note, Luda, is he involved in any way?
Whoa, wait, because we're already in this, I just want to put ludicrous related to. Because I think this might be the bonus that we needed to end things, okay?
Okay.
Related to...
Andy's freaking out.
He's a cousin of Richard Pryor. That's really cool.
Wow. That's huge. Oh, Nepo babies is real.
And Ludacris and Monica are cousins.
Padman?
We'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.